Hi friends, you've come together to calibrate the performance tasks from trimester 2, so you'll want to go to the local and state assessment site. So I'm doing that now. I'm going to type in local and state assessment. And you should be viewing this screencast if you teach 6th grade or 7th grade. It's the same process. So I'm coming here to 16-17 interim. You can click on 6th or 7th. Both are structured the same. You'll need to scroll underneath the performance task, the math task, to the folder that says your corresponding grade levels informational writing PT calibration. So you see the 00 item is the only item you need to print out, and then the other items you'll want to access digitally. So you want to stay here, and I'm going over to this area. Hopefully in this time you'll access the tools to calibrate, get familiar with the anchor or exemplar papers, take some time to check how well your scores align to the check set scores, and then hopefully calibrate at least one piece of student work together. So for that you're going to need a laptop for the screencast to play on, your own laptop so you can access the material, a printed version of the rubric, and something to take notes on. So in item 01, the calibration guide, you have the item stem for your grade level, the performance task and sources your students saw. You have the rubrics, and some support material for the rubrics are the conventions chart that shows the convention expectations for your grade, and the explanation of elaboration for explanatory writing, which is a newer document for us. You also have a document about condition codes, what to put into Illuminate if a student did not write to the task at all, and a targets document that helps us link targets, claims, and standards. So with that calibration guide, I'm going to ask you to start reading that performance task, really examine the rubrics closely, and look at the conventions chart to review the grade level expectations for your grade. So will you take 10 to 15 minutes to read through those documents and then come back to the screencast? So you can pause this now. A couple reminders. For the rubrics, a total score of 10 points is possible. There are 3 traits. The organization and purpose is worth 4 points, development elaboration worth 4 points, and conventions worth 2 points. With conventions, we want to remember variety, severity, and density. If a student is making a variety of error, for example, spelling error, syntax error, punctuation error, that's considered to be a lot of variety of errors. Severe errors would be misspellings of really second grade words like, because, then. Those would be very severe errors. Misspelling words like photosynthesis, formulation, technique probably would not be considered severe errors at 6th, 7th grade. And then density is just the amount of error that the piece has. Is it 10% or 80%? So please try to keep those 3 tags in mind when using the conventions rubric. Here's SBAC's definition of elaboration. I'm going to give you a minute to read it to yourself. I think that definition is pretty self-explanatory, and I know you do a lot to help students elaborate with details like those listed in the definition. This might be a little newer for us, so will you take a minute to read it to yourself as well? So let me try to assist these pieces of information with some examples. Let's say I'm writing an informational essay about first year teaching. I might elaborate with some listed support. My sentence might sound like this. The first year of teaching is extremely stressful. You're trying to balance your personal time versus your work time. You're trying to figure out the school culture and understand your place in it. You're also trying to figure out this whole grading process and what grades really look like for middle schoolers. You can see that that was really a list of reasons. They could have been reordered and it wouldn't have changed the meaning of the text. Now let me give an attempt at general layered elaboration. That might sound like this. The first year of teaching is a very stressful time. You're trying to balance your personal life and your work time. You're starting to realize you have no time for yourself at all. You never see any of your friends. You're starting to wonder if you should change your mailing address to your school address since you practically live there. And you're always falling asleep by 8 o'clock. You can see that my sentences were progressing with reasons. They were pretty general supports. We might have been able to change some of the order of it around, and it may not have changed the meaning that much. And now let me give an attempt at specific layered elaboration. The first year of teaching is a really stressful time of life because you are spending a crazy amount of time planning lessons. And then when you finish planning them, you actually have to go back and revise the plans because you weren't able to actually complete the lesson the way you planned it. And not only do you spend all kinds of time planning, you actually have to go back and grade the work that students did during that time you taught the lesson plan. You can see there that I had a progression of reasons. There was some cause-effect with that because statement and that and then statement. So reordering would really impair the connection of those ideas. I see these levels as listed as level 1, general, level 2, and specific layered, level 3. The specific layered is really important when students move to argument writing. So hopefully this bit of information will help you as you look through your student samples and see what kind of elaboration, what kind of levels they're doing. And these explanatory approaches are pretty familiar to us. I think you teach a lot of these to your students already. We just want to remember that SBAC honors these approaches to elaboration and explanatory writing. So now to get into the exemplars, I'm going to ask you to read through that document number 02 to really understand how the exemplars and the scores align. So take 15 to 20 minutes to do that now. You can pause the screencast. And as a reminder, 6th grade teachers, my apologies, but we don't have scored exemplars for the task that your students took this trimester. 7th grade actually has exemplars for their papers. That's why you had to read the 7th grade exemplars. You're going to have to transfer some of what you noticed in those exemplars to the 6th grade writing that your students did. Hopefully, we'll have every cell filled in by next year. Now some time to practice. You have a check set, which is document 03, and a key, document 04. I'm going to ask you to really commit to scoring that check set and then checking your scores with that key. How closely are you aligned to the scores that SBAC gave for these samples? And try to use about 20 to 25 minutes to do that. You can pause this here. A reminder, scoring is not grading. Scoring is reading a sample, gathering evidence from the sample, and aligning it to the rubric. The score on a student's writing PT may have very little to do with their grade for writing. And a couple reminders, each dimension has a lot of descriptors. You see a lot of bullets in those columns. Remember that a student does not have to have every bullet to score in that category. And there are a limited number of points on the scale. We don't have, thankfully, a 999-point scale. So each point really represents a range. You've got high ones and low ones, high 4s and low 4s. And I know that's hard, but you just want to commit to one score point and land there. Knowing that this isn't an average of circling bullets and then seeing, let's add them up and divide by this many. It's really the idea of preponderance. Where does the preponderance of evidence lie in this paper? And then align that to a score. If you do have time, it would be fabulous if you could choose 1 to 3 random samples from your scores on the Illuminate LMS and work together to agree on a score for those samples. Maybe huddle around one person's computer with your rubrics and score them together. That would heighten your team's calibration, that you're truly calibrated together, not just scoring independently. And there is a supporting document in that folder. It's document 5 that Sun created with direct links to the location in Illuminate where you're entering those scores. So you can go into that folder, click on that document, and that link will take you directly to your entry for scoring once you place your password in that document. The last thing we're going to ask you to do is share an example of a below, at, and above grade level sample from your entire team. So choose 3 names together after you've scored, and please give those 3 names and student ID numbers to your site IS. They will share that information with us up here. Thank you so much for all that you do for your students and just the hard work and many hours you put into teaching. Feel free to email me with any questions or items that I can clarify. And I want to encourage you to visit the literacy site for your grade level and probably argument writing units you're approaching next. There are full units of study with student work, scored, mentor texts, day-by-day lesson plans, checklists, rubrics that I hope would be supportive to you in teaching writing. Thank you so much. Best to you.